Okay, so I'm going to refute the main claim that an opt-out system should be put in place instead of our current opt-in system. With the first part of the argument was that it would be hard to change the current system, which is with the ID and changing that you want to become an organ donor, but this would actually be just as problematic as registering everybody that they don't want to opt out. So basically with this system, you would automatically it's opt-out and presumed consent. So the government would presume that you want to give them consent to give them your organs, but there would have to be a system put in place in order to register everybody that didn't want to opt out, and this would be very cost-effective and very lengthy in time. According to the National Library of Medicine, the introduction of this system of presumed consent would be highly complex and costly if it were to command the trust of the involved professionals and the general public, every member in the UK public at the time of introduction. And moving forward, would need to be contacted and offered the choice of opting out. This would require a significant and substantial communication program, and an opt-out register would be needed to put in place. So this would basically make everybody have the choice to opt in / opt out, which would be just as cost-effective and timely as changing our current system. Okay. The presumed consent is alternatively known as the opt-out system, and this means that unless the deceased has expressed a wish in life not to be an organ donor, then their consent to donate their organs will be assumed. And this can be divided into two separate opt-out systems, which are known as hard and soft. And this would basically be the same as the current system that we have right now, because in our opt-in system, the patient's parents and families are still asked if they can have their loved one's organs donated after they die. So switching the system to make it opt-out wouldn't eliminate having to ask parents and families if they can donate their organs, because even with a soft opt-out system, the families would still need to be consulted with the doctors in those minutes after their loved one died, so it really wouldn't take away any of that awkwardness when the family is grieving and you have to ask them, can we remove your loved one's organs? With a soft opt-out system, that would still be in place. They still have to ask for permission of the families, and this is used in countries, in the other countries that already have the opt-out system, and it really hasn't helped any of the rates with that. Some of the ethical questions are raised by penalizing people for not choosing or introducing the opt-out system. This would make certain families of terminally ill patients almost feel guilty for not giving up their organs. And this has two different problems, not only with the people that are still living, but with the people that would die. With the patients that have already died, you can't ask them if they wanted to opt out. You're just assuming that they wanted to give you their organs, and you're not getting any consent from them. You're just assuming that they wanted you to, and that is problematic because there are a lot of people that feel like that's imposing on their own beliefs, and it's just assuming that the state has control of your body after you die, which is offensive to a lot of people. So, according to the Encyclopedia of Philosophy, the taking of organs without consent will sometimes be against the wishes of the deceased, and while not taking organs will be against the wishes of the deceased who wanted to donate. Taking in error is worse than making the mistake than not taking in error, because people have the right not to donate their organs, but do not have the right to have their organs taken away. So basically what it's saying is that it's worse not to take an organ donor's organs than to take someone's organs who didn't want to donate, because once you start doing that, then it's everybody in the country is just under the control of the government, and you're obviously going to get a lot of uprisings with that, because you have people saying, my loved one didn't want their organs taken from them, and this happened, and that sort of situation would be like with a John Doe or with a Jane Doe. The safeguard is that the right of refusal permission of your organs to be removed is inadequate because of the terminally ill patient's, his or her relatives would feel selfish for not giving permission. All right, so with evidence from the Johns Hopkins Medicine, he stated that with his colleagues' research, he learned that even in countries with presumed consent of donations were still discussed with the potential donors' families at the time of death, even though doctors were legally permitted to transplant those organs. So even though the doctors do have their own permission to take the organs, they still have to ask the families. And in 6 of 13 countries, there was a legal requirement for the doctors to speak with the relatives, and this is done to be transparent with the family of the donation process and obtain complete medical and social history of the potential donor. So not only are they doing it for permission, they're trying to figure out if maybe the patient had certain diseases where they couldn't donate. So it's not completely eliminating the family from the process, it's still putting that in place, which is going to be lengthy as it is. And in other countries, they found that despite the laws, the process of organ donation in those countries does not differ dramatically from the process in the countries such as the United States that require explicit consent. They also found that the United States rates third among the nations serving of rates of organ donation from the deceased, with 26.3 deceased donors per million population, and Spain, which has the opt-out system already in place, has 4.1, and Portugal has 26.7, which did better than the United States, but Portugal has the opt-out and they only did 0.1% better than the United States with its current system already in place.